Hi guys, my name is Tiffany and welcome back to another video. So in this one, I'm going to do a nursing Q&A.
Cause anywhere with you feels right. Anywhere with you feels like Paris in the rain. Paris in the rain. When I'm with you, when I'm with you, Paris in the rain. Paris in the rain.
So I asked you guys to ask me some questions on Instagram, and so I have my phone with me and I'm going to be answering some of your questions. So a lot of them I probably answered in other videos before, but I know a lot of you guys are new to my channel, so I'm going to just answer some of those questions that you guys have. So the first question I'm going to ask is the work culture the same in the hospitals you've worked in? So I have only worked in 2 hospitals, my previous hospital and the current one that I'm working right now, and I'm honestly going to tell you that my experiences have been truly amazing. Both places that I worked at have been super supportive of my learning and growth journey, and everyone has been super helpful on my unit. I don't ever feel like I'm alone, and even though I have 5 years of experience, there's just going to be days where I can't do things on my own, and I love that at both hospitals that I've worked at, I've had resources where I can just call them up and ask them to help me with something, whether it's like helping with labs or IV or just helping me set up for a procedure or anything like that. I don't ever feel alone, and honestly, my management at both hospitals I worked at have been truly amazing and very supportive of my journey as well. And I feel very open with them as well and not afraid to go up to them. And I've just had wonderful experiences so far. I have done a video in the past about my thoughts on toxic workplaces, and honestly, just because I worked at 2 places that have been so amazing that I don't know what it's like to experience being in a toxic workplace. And honestly, that since I have experiences so far, that I want to tell you that places that are supportive do exist and that you need to go out there and search for it. And so honestly, I can just tell you that I have not dealt with anything at work, whether it's nurse bullying or things like that, or people belittling me or not supporting me. Like, my own team is great. All the nurses that I work with are so great. At both hospitals I worked at, management has been great. Of course, there's going to be things here and there. Nothing is ever perfect. No unit is ever perfect. But overall, I've had great experiences and it's just been amazing. So that's really all I can say about that. So I did see another question actually that addresses nurse bullying and how to deal with those types of people. So like I said, I have not experienced that, but I did see something similar like that in nursing school, where there was a nurse that actually bullied one of the students right in front of me and in front of our whole class in the nurses station. So honestly, how I'm going to really answer this question is that those people are probably people that are dealing with things in their personal lives that they're taking out on you, and they probably feel that the easiest target for them is a new grad nurse that is brand new, doesn't know anything about them, the unit or the culture or whatever, and they just want to take it out on this person. So I want you guys to just remember not to try your best to not take the words to heart, and that they're probably going through something in their lives or through a bad day or whatever. And I'm really just going to tell you that you're just going to have to kill them with kindness. And literally that's what I do every day at work. I try to stay out of drama, trouble, things like that. And you know, there can be times where people, as much as you want to avoid those types of things, they're going to come towards you with their problems or things like that, or cause issues and trouble with you. But just try to remember that this is just a workplace and you're here to do your job, not be involved in gossip and drama and things like that. And if you are going through something where someone is actively bullying you or causing trouble for you in the unit or wanting to see you fail and things like that, you need to speak up and bring it up to someone, whether that be another nurse that you trust, your preceptor that you've worked with in the past, your nurse educator that you trust or can talk to, or talk to your management. And as scary as that may seem, and trying not to bring up conflict and things like that, it's something that you have to remember that this is your license and your job. And if you're working in a workplace where someone is actively trying to cause trouble for you, you need to bring it up. Because honestly, I'm going to tell you that for people who have probably experienced this before, that this person is probably not the first time they've caused trouble to other people. And having someone bring it up to them can help trying to trigger them to recognize that this person may be the issue and not you. So honestly, if you're going through this, just know that you are not alone, and that I'm hoping that there are resources for you out there that you can go and talk to on your unit, people you trust or whomever on your unit, that you need to bring this up, because it's not something that we're hiding it and just trying to cover it up, or just going through your daily life and just pretending that it's not happening. It's not really going to help you, because honestly, things like this doesn't go away, and it can only be recognized if people bring it up often and share it. And that way other people who are also experiencing it will have the voice to also want to share it as well. And so this can be brought up to the whole unit so that people can recognize that this is a problem. But yeah, it's so unfortunate that things like this do happen, and that honestly, I don't understand why that new grad nurses become the target of bullying, but they probably see that new nurses can be easily victimized because of this new place and this new environment that they're in. Try not to fall into that, and that just try to protect yourself as much as possible, because no workplace in the end of the day is worth you suffering. And if you're at a workplace where everyone is not supportive of you, or there are people out there who are actively trying to watch you fail, then that place is not meant for you. So please go out there and bring up your experiences and share with other people what you're going through, and that way hopefully things can be resolved, because nothing is going to be resolved if it gets hidden under the bush. So I'm wishing you the best, and hoping things work out for you. All right, the next question I have is feeling overwhelmed in the NICU. Would love a video of how you felt. So I kind of did share this in a video already about my NICU new grad nurse experience, and also sharing some advice and tips with you guys. So make sure to check that video out. I'm gonna leave it up in the cards above. But just very, very brief summary that honestly, I probably went through the same thing that you guys are going through. I don't know any nurse who did not feel overwhelmed starting as a new grad. Like, if you did not experience that, please let me know your tips and advice. But honestly, it's just going to be something that everyone goes through. We're going through a new environment, a new experience. We're trying to do things on our own for the very first time. Being in nursing school versus actively working as a new nurse is a whole different challenge, of course. And there's a lot of things you're going to have to think on your feet and learn as you go. And so it's going to be scary. And honestly, you just have to give yourself a lot of patience, because I wish I can go back in time and have someone tell me that everything that I'm going through right now is just going to be something that you'll just develop over time. Because I thought that because at that moment that I wasn't getting it, that something was wrong with me and that I was an issue. But if someone were to tell me that whatever you're doing now is just a process you're going to be going through, and that things will get better over time through your experiences and as you go and learn new things, I wish someone told me that, because then I probably would have not beaten myself up as much as I did back then. So just wanting to share those experiences with you guys, that you are not alone, and that everyone is probably going through the same thing as you, and just give yourself a lot of patience, because it will just take some time. What types of supplies are essential for a NICU nurse? So I'm going to honestly tell you that there's nothing specific that I carry at work with me that is NICU specific, because everything that I need is on my unit, such as a nursing stethoscope. Those things every patient has in their room, so I don't have my own specific one. Honestly, the one that I bought in nursing school, I don't use at all anymore. So it's just one of those things where I spend a lot of money on that I don't really use. So unless your hospital doesn't have such a thing, typically NICUs have their own stethoscope for every patient, so I would not go out of my way to spend money on those things. But I do have a video on some just daily things that I bring with me, which I will also share that video above. And those are just some of the things I feel are kind of work essentials for me. But if I'm going to say anything NICU specific or NICU related, honestly, there's really nothing that I feel is necessary for you to have that is very NICU specific. So unless there are some NICU nurses out there that have anything that they constantly bring with them that is specific to their unit, please leave it down in the comments below. But yeah, there's really nothing that I carry with me in my bag that I feel is super necessary to have in the NICU. I'm about to begin my NICU practicum. What should I do to study and prepare? So in my other video that I shared with you guys some advice, I also share with you guys some resource books that I used. And so make sure to check out that video in the cards above. But I'll also share that list down below too. I have an Amazon list. If you guys are interested in clicking that, it lists all the books that I feel are kind of good start out books to read on some NICU resources if you want to. But honestly, when I first started out, I didn't really prepare. I didn't read any textbooks or anything like that, just because NICU is its own little world, and every hospital you go to teaches you different things. And I got lucky enough that when I first started out as a new grad nurse at the hospital that I worked at, they had classes that taught me everything I really needed to know, such as like the basics and diagnoses that I would see and things like that. So I kind of had the coverage that I needed in those classes, that I didn't feel it was necessary for me to go out of my way to read other resource books. But if your hospital doesn't have things like that, then yeah, these are some textbooks that I feel may be a good start out for you. So I'm going to leave that down in the description, and also check out the video. How long did it take for me to become a NICU nurse? So I've done plenty of videos about this already, where I kind of share with you guys my NICU nurse journey, but basically all I'm just going to tell you in a very brief summary is that it took me 4 years. That was 4 years of me in nursing school, and then after I graduated nursing school, obviously I took the NCLEX to become a registered nurse, and then pretty much after that I applied for any NICU position possible, and that's where I landed my first ever new grad job in the NICU. Next question I got is, what is your favorite care activity you provide, and what is your favorite skill in the NICU? Well, that's a really good question, just because there are some things that I do on a daily task that I don't even recognize, that I just get in the habit of doing. And honestly, one of my favorite skills, I guess I would say, or not really skill, but an activity that I love to do, and I always tell my parents this, is giving baths. That's probably my absolute favorite thing, just because to me, I love when a baby is clean. I don't like stinky babies. I'm just gonna have to say it. And so if it's bath day, I actually get really excited, because I know, at least for me, that probably will be a good day / night, just because a lot of times when I give baths to my patient, they sleep better, they do better, everything is just better, and they smell better too. So it's just one of those things that I truly enjoy doing. And if I have parents there with me, of course, I try to get them involved as much as possible and get them to join me in on the bath, and do a lot of education with them if they have not done a bath before. But yeah, that's just one of my favorite activities to do. Another question that I have here is, do you see yourself working in the NICU for the rest of your career? So I get asked this a lot also as well. And so as you already know, I've been working in the NICU for 5 years now, and to me, it's still something very early on in my career, and I do have times where I think about if there's anything I want to expand more, and whether I want to go beyond the NICU. And honestly, for now, I still very much love the NICU. I love working with babies and this patient population, so I do not see myself branching to any other units such as peds or adults or anything like that. Definitely not something that I'm interested in. I still love NICU, and if I were to ever decide to leave the NICU, I still feel like I'm going to want to work something that is pretty close and similar, whether it be working in a clinic with infants and babies and things like that, or something very along the lines of this patient population. I still love working with babies a lot, and it's honestly all that I know. So if I were to go anywhere else, I'm sure I would be able to thrive completely fine, but this is something I still prefer doing, and so I see myself working in NICU for quite some time. I still very much love my job, enjoy my job, and love working with the babies, and so this is something I still see myself doing for a very long time. But I'm going to admit to you, there are times where I do feel a little bit burnt out. ICU can be a very challenging place sometimes, and for some people it can be a place that will burn you out. So you need to find time for yourself to be able to balance out your life so you don't feel burnt out at work. But I do also will think about things where I consider in the future about whether or not I want to kind of balance my life more and not work in such a high stress environment sometimes. And so I thought a lot about it, but I think in the end I still decide that NICU is a place for me currently, and so this is kind of where I want to see myself for a while. And the last question I'm going to answer that I get often as well, do you have NICU experience in nursing school, or did you learn everything on the job? So I've shared this with you guys in multiple videos, but the only NICU experience that I had in nursing school was the 2 days that I had in my maternity rotation and doing my senior preceptorship in the NICU. And then pretty much everything that I learned and the experiences I have is through working as a NICU nurse. Yeah, those are all the questions that I'm going to be answering in this Q&A. Let me know down in the comments below if you have any other questions, and I'll help you guys answer those. And I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.
'Cause anywhere you feels right, anywhere you feels like Paris in the rain, Paris in the rain.